Okay, I'm going to build a PC, and you can see part of what's going to be in it. So the CPU, the RAM, and obviously the motherboard. I'll post the specifics in the video description if you're interested. And without further ado, let's start with the unboxing of everything. So this is an anti-static mat, but I don't have a wrist strap on. Whatever. All right. There's the stock cooler in its box, the CPU itself. Let's see, is there any other? Keys. There, push anything, and that's it. Alright, well, it includes one common instruction thingy for multiple different socket types, which seems a little cheap. You'd think they could just print a separate document for each different one. Oh, and it does come with a sticker to put on your case once you're done. As I look at the heatsink, it looks like there's some kind of thermal compound on there already, but I'm still going to add some. There's the fan. Yes, I'm going to use the stock cooler. And then this is the RAM I'm using. Pause it if you want to read it. Okay, there they are. Let's see, any goodies? User guidance, safety information. And I don't know how you'd hurt yourself installing RAM unless you used a sledgehammer and got your finger between the RAM and the sledgehammer. Probably says don't lick it or something stupid like that. Alright, it didn't come with any advanced specs. This is just like, saying please recycle it when you're done with it. So it didn't really show any more advanced specs in the box or on that little sheet of paper that would help with like overclocking it or anything. Alright, now let's come to the motherboard. I did already open the box to this point, just to see what it came with. I didn't actually take the motherboard out of its bag, but here's the Wi-Fi antenna, so you plug it into the back of the motherboard and all that. There's the board itself. Oh, it came with some SATA cables. That's always nice. I/O shield. Fan decal. Whatever that is. Oh, a web storage offer. Certificate of reliability. And a coaster. Okay, I know what this is for. Standoffs or something. There's a fan on whatever that is. There's the socket. So the whole thing kind of moves. I've never actually handled a AMD socket before, and I'm going to stop doing that so I don't like mess it up. There's where the RAMs go in. Probably have to look in the manual. Most of the time you have to put it in slot 1 first or something like that, but I got to figure out which slot is slot 1. So basically you have to do them in a specific order, like this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. Over here we've actually got some diagnostic LEDs over there. So if something's wrong, those LEDs should light up and tell you what's wrong. And so if you're not seeing anything on the screen, that should tell you what the problem is. Should. Hopefully we don't have a problem, and if we do, hopefully those LEDs will help. Here's your M2 slot, which I think is useful for making a low profile system. So if you're doing like a mini ITX kind of thing, that's useful for saving space. If you want your SSD to be mounted to the motherboard and not a SATA one elsewhere. But when I put M2 in my current system, I didn't notice that big of a speed increase that I would think it would be worth it just for that. I got it to upgrade the size. So I say if you're debating on whether to get M2 or to get SATA, for now I would say get whatever's on sale. Because I didn't notice a big speed increase, but that might be because the motherboard I have is older, so. I'm actually going to put this together a little bit differently than other people might. I'm going to put everything on the motherboard that goes on the motherboard first, and then I'm going to mount the motherboard into the case. But before I put all the screws in, I'm going to put, like, 3 or 4 screws in so that it's grounded. But then I'm going to test it and make sure it actually works. And at that point, I'll put the rest of the screws in. I'll dress up the cables really nice. And anyway, that's about it. Alright, so basically I'm going to put the CPU on first. Okay, don't touch the pins. Okay, I think that's in there properly. Now I know I gotta put thermal paste on, but let's see where the holes. Yep, I gotta take that thing off first. Okay, that should be, I think, enough. Okay, the mounting plate for the heatsink came off. I think I'm supposed to leave that on there. So. Which way does it go? Okay, the connector's over there, so the fan should be facing this way. That kind of doesn't sound so good, but whatever. That sounds better. Except, I don't think I'm really getting in there though. There we go. Okay, now let's look in the manual and see what, see how the RAM goes in. I mean, obviously it goes in the RAM slots and it'll only fit in one direction, but it's more like, what order do you do them in? And it's the light colored ones. Right, so you can see the little niche. It just lines up with the same little niche in the motherboard slot. do make sure the clips are out. On this side, on this motherboard, there's only clips on one side. If there's only clips on one side, then the memory will kind of go in like this, kind of push it all the way down. On the far side first that doesn't have the clip. Or, no, I got that wrong, I think. Okay, I was wrong. Go straight down. And then kind of okay, let me make sure I put it down straight. Yes, I did. These are the SATA cables. Well, that's that's all that goes on the board, really. Alright, I'm ready to go grab the case, haul it over here, and put the board and the power supply in the case. Well, actually, before I put the power supply in the case, I'm going to test the power supply, and I'll show you how to do that. Alright, so, quick way to test a power supply. Get yourself one of these. They're like 25 bucks or something. So yeah, they've just got a LCD, and they show all the voltages and everything. They don't put much of a load on it, so they won't catch everything. But one thing you wouldn't want is over voltage on any rail. Could blow your system. So it's always a good idea when you get a power supply that's new to you, or if you're trying to diagnose a failure, especially a failure where something looks burned or smells burned, check the power supply with one of these. Even if it's something other than your power supply that looks or smells burned. Okay, the tape says is EVGA kind of superimposed on it, if that's the right word, but you probably can't see that, but whatever. There's a manual. The power supply itself. Eco mode. There's a sticker in the back. The auto eco system provides zero noise at low to moderate loads. The fan will not rotate in this mode. So they're just letting you know that if you see the fan not turning, that doesn't mean it's faulty. Okay, it came with this thing. There's a plug and then a jumper wire. So I guess if you want to destroy the power supply, you could plug this into it. I don't know what the point of that is. Came with some reusable fabric ties, some mounting screws, no zip ties, but it did come with twist ties on around the cables themselves. And then, yeah. So, I'll show you how this works in just a moment. Okay, so as a fully modular power supply, you can remove all connectors and cords and just add the ones you need. So, this is the motherboard cord. This is for the CPU. And these are the ones that plug into the the power supply tester like this. I think that goes the other way. No, it doesn't. It goes this way. Does it? All right. Go ahead and run this cord over to somewhere. All right. Now the fan may not spin up. Or it might for a second when you turn it on. Okay, it spins up for, it just does a little kick so you can see it, and then it stops. And because this isn't putting really any load on it other than just the lights in the display, okay, so we know it works. We know it works to some extent. If you want, you can also test the Molex connectors if it has any, or the SATA connectors. It'll just light up the 12 volt and 5 volt lights here, and the 3.3 volt if you're doing SATA, and that voltage is there. Won't show up on the display though, but you can't always have everything, I guess. Oh, it does have Molex. I didn't. Okay, it's got 3 of them in fact on one thing. So I guess if you wanted to yep, we got the green lights. Molex does not have 3.3 volts, only SATA does. This SATA daisy chain thing. Okay. We're good. So this is what it'll do if a voltage is missing, which I can simulate by removing that. The one that's missing will just flash LL for low level. If I plug it back in, actually, let me turn it off first and then plug it back in. Yeah,